Hey guys, we are going to configure our DHCP scope, our dynamic host configuration protocol scope on the server. So let's go. So let's run our server manager. This is your dashboard. As you can see, on the right side we have the rules that we have added to the server. As you can see, you have the active directory domain service, you have the DHCP, DNS. So these are all we have had, and these are the default ones. The local server or server file and storage. This one we cannot remove it. They are set up by default. So let's go to tool, click on tool, go to DHCP. We are going to configure a DHCP scope. Click on DHCP. So let's expand it first. So DHCP scope is a pool of IP address on a specific subnet that can be leased by the DHCP server. So let's click on expand our domain. Okay, so let me expand our domain sacred.com. Okay, expand IP version 4. So let's click on IP version 4, right click, new scope. Go to new scope. Welcome to the new scope result. Go to next. Name. You need to provide a name. So you can set up any name. Let's type IP version 4 and description. So description, let's say our 192.168.0.2 hyphen 254. So this is our description. IP version 4.0.2 hyphen 254. So let's go to next. IP address range. We define the scope address range by identifying a set of consecutive IP address. So the star IP address. So this is our star IP address 192.168.0.2. And the end IP address. So this is the range we are going to use. Range of our scope. We say the scope is a pool of IP address on a specific subnet that can be leased by a DHCP server. So this is the range. So our server is going to be used. So from 2 to 254. You know that 254 is the broadcast. So this is the star IP address. This is the end. 192.168.0.254. The length, you can leave it by default 24. Tablet mask class C. Let's go to next. Add exclusion and delay. Type of IP address range that you want to exclude. If you want to exclude a single address type, so this is the address you're going to exclude. 192.168.0.2. We are going to exclude this address. Is not going to be sent or given to the host. This address and the end one 192.168.0 is, let's say, 25. So these two addresses are going to be excluded from our scope, from our pool. Let's go to add and next. We don't need to specify anything here. Next. So lease duration. The lease duration specifies how long a client can use an IP address from this scope. This is the duration. I'm going to specify. Let's say 8 days by default. Hours, minutes. You can leave it by default. Go to next. So configure the DHCP option. Do you want to configure the DHCP option for this scope? Yes, I want to configure this option for now. No, I will configure this option later. Go to next. Now add an IP address for a router used by a client. Enter the IP address below. Let's specify our default gateway 192.168.0. Default gateway of our network is 0.1. Go to add. This is our default gateway. Go to next. So this our domain has already popped up. We can specify the parent domain you want the client computer on your network to use for DNS name resolution. This is our domain, cycle.com. Server name. This is our domain IP address of our domain. We go to next. Go to next. Win server name, IP address already set up. To next. Do you want to activate this scope now? So I will activate this scope later. Let's go to later. Let's go to next. And complete new scope reserve. Finish. So now we can see the new scope we just created. Open it. You can see below the IP version 4, we can see the new scope we just created. You see the new scope just one. So this is our scope. You can click on it, expand it. You can see the address pool, address list, the reservation, scope option, policy. You are going to go through any of these scope one by one. So the address pool is the range of available IP address as well as exclusion. And address list here show us, you can click on it. Address list will show us the client computer will have received the TCP/IP configuration from the DHCP. For address pool here, you can see the pool of address at the range. Address pool is the range of available IP address as well as exclusion. The address pool, you can see the range of available IP address from 192.168.0.2 to 254. This is the range of available pool we can give to the client. So, and we can also see the range of excluded IP address from 192 to 0.2 to 0.25 IP address excluded from distribution. So these addresses we cannot distribute. So this is the range we can distribute. Now we have the reservation. The reservation only listed all PC have DHCP server reservation. And we have the scope. The scope option allows you to change the service, the default gateway, the DNS, and the domain name. You can change the DNS server, the default gateway, and the domain name. This is the scope. And the policy, the last one, we have the policy. Policy allow the admin to provide the IP to IP phone, printer, desktop, computer, and so on. So this is our scope. You can just right click on the scope and come here, activate. I'm going to activate the scope. So we have activated our scope. So if you found this video interesting, welcome to the channel. Subscribe, share it, and see you to the next video.